on. And thank you to our sponsor Dashlane for making this episode possible. Make sure you stick around after the episode for a special offer from Dashlane. But first, here is Middle Ground: Free Speech versus Censorship.
This is gonna be so stupid, dude.
Take, for example, like white supremacy. They don't go away because you censored them.
Are they gonna stop being a white supremacist? I don't give a f. I do feel safer.
Tech platforms play a big part in facilitating hate today.
Twitter specifically has banned a number of different conservative accounts, not just the president.
They can do whatever they want. They're private businesses.
I think that people should be able to say whatever they want online. However, I think that there should also be consequences.
The president of one of the most powerful countries in the world doesn't have access to social media.
I think platforms have a right to moderate content.
We really have to be able to discern who gets a voice and what they're able to say.
We need people in the conservative field to fight for our right to be conservative.
As somebody who has experienced censorship, it ends up generating these chambers in which these ideas go completely unchallenged.
And everybody kind of
Bro, conservatives don't like seek out echo chambers because they're getting censored. I mean, some literally are relegated to other platforms because they cannot play by the rules. But conservatives literally love fucking safe spaces as well. Like they want to, unsuccessfully in most circumstances, turn everything into a conservative echo chamber.
has to ask themselves, should everybody really be able to say what they want to say?
Hi, I'm Leah Thomas. I am a writer and the founder of Intersectional Environmentalists, which is an online environmental media hub.
Hi, I'm Lawrence. I'm a public policy analyst for San Bernardino County.
Hi, I'm Bennett Kelly. I'm the founder of the Internet Law Center, and I'm an attorney who represents victims of online harassment.
I'm Michael. I'm 30. I'm conservative, and I work in finance.
My name is Jerome. I'm a political science student. I am 21, and I'm originally from Massachusetts.
Oh, dude, I already banned this guy. Oh my God, it's going to be really funny when Jerome says his personal experience with censorship was when he was on the HasanAbi stream and got banned for saying, you know, why can't we make it legal to shoot blacks on sight or some shit. You know what I mean? Like...
Hello, I'm Joseph. I'm an accountant and I'm working towards my CPA and I'm a part-time poker player.
The prompt is, the right is more censored.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he said. First of all, people say that shit in my chat all the time, you fucking moron. And secondly, that was clearly a fucking joke. And finally, I don't think that person was ever in my chat. That was, again, a joke. Let's see. Manchester pretty rough. Chris D'Elia back. Hassan says no, dude. Oh man, I wish there was some fucking dumb shit that I could dunk on him on. Colorado and active shooting go hand in hand. Yikes! I know Colorado, not famous for a bunch of fucking mass shootings. You're right. Speaking about the First Amendment. Parler has been forced to unironically explain the First Amendment to its users who are outraged after the company revealed it forwarded violent posts about the storming of the Capitol to the FBI. Conservatives in understanding First Amendment.
The left.
I mean, we think it's obvious, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming most of us are conservative-ish, you know, in that spectrum, but I think that a lot has happened during the January 6th riots. That's why we see it more, and that's why it's more big of a problem now.
You know, Parler can't even be on the App Store, or, you know, I mean, Trump got kicked off Twitter. I mean, he's the leader of the free world, basically, at least for the U.S., and, you know, he doesn't even have access to a social media.
Bro, just don't plot fucking violent insurrections on a platform, or don't literally tailor your free speech platform to just Nazis and Nazis who end up actually following through on the atrocities like the synagogue shooter on Gab. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that and you won't have a fucking problem. But if your platform is being used predominantly by violent psychopaths to, you know, get agitated about the existence of like Jewish people or black people in general, well then, you know, you're probably going to run into some legal repercussions.
Media platform.
I don't know. I think there was Twitter, which was left-leaning long before there was something like Parler.
Well, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think that these...
The irony is that Parler itself is not exactly super popular. Conservatives fucking don't like Parler because, and I've talked about this already, a lot of conservatives want to turn the actual mainstream culture more conservative and turn it into a conservative echo chamber, but they're unsuccessful at it. However, they also love owning the libs. So Parler is not exactly successful because no libs want to fucking touch that shit. And the real reason why they want to be on Twitter is because they want to own the libs on Twitter. And they want to own the libs by doing things that happen to violate the terms of service on Twitter. And they want Twitter to not look at their routine violations and harassment policies and shit like that. That's what it is. That's the real problem here. Parler is not fun. There's no libs
long before there was something like Parler.
Well, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I think that these echo chambers that are created as a result of censorship are a reaction. They're reactionary. They're not necessarily, they wouldn't exist by themselves if right-leaning people weren't being censored.
Yeah.
I guess I disagree because usually when I think of conservatives, I do think of the party of law and order. So that was definitely something that Trump spoke about often, like there are consequences to your actions. Maybe more people could read the terms and conditions and find a platform that they feel more comfortable with, like Parler, 4chan.
But what Trump said wasn't really as bad as what I've seen other Democrats say.
Well, I guess to not deflect, what should be the appropriate consequences when someone violates the terms and conditions?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. She just straight up was like, don't deflect. Go back to the fucking actual matter at hand. What should be the consequences? Oh my God, that's great. Okay, I'm horny.
I think it should be like a
great.
clear punishment, right? It shouldn't be a punishment, like especially for like being kicked off. It should be for everybody. Yeah. But if that is the solution, that has to be the solution for everybody.
So, No Name, Sean King are two of the most prominent left-leaning activists that I know of. And they have been repeatedly banned from Twitter, suspended from Facebook, Instagram kicked them off. And then when it happens to Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, we hear conservative voices are being...
but it's the... Is Ben Shapiro? He said Ben Shapiro. Okay, all right, this video is good. This is good, folks. This is good.
The exact same thing that was happening on the left, that's now happening on the right. So I think the problem is the conservative, I don't see you. The conservatives that believe this rhetoric is being suppressed.
All right, Lawrence is definitely in the community.
I don't think they know the other side is dealing with the same thing.
There's no real history of which I'm aware of left-leaning creators being blacklisted the way that guys like Alex Jones, James Woods, Donald Trump have been.
Yeah.
Alex Jones was on this journalistic scene for 30 years, and they erased all 30 years of that.
The journalistic scene for 30 years? Motherfucker, Alex Jones doesn't believe he's doing journalism. Like, if you think Alex Jones is doing journalism, well, then ask Alex Jones. He will tell you that he's not doing journalism. And also, this notion that, like, left-leaning investigative reporters, thinkers, are not blacklisted from every fucking outlet by those who espouse the values of freedom of speech, by the way, like Ben Shapiro or fucking Alan Dershowitz. These are the guys who blacklist people like Norman Finkelstein or advocate for the banning of others that believe in things such as Palestinians are human beings. Like, it's psychotic. Norm Finkelstein, Noam Chomsky, these are thinkers and prominent writers that have no place in mainstream media. They just routinely are fleeced, okay? And have been blacklisted from schools and shit too. I mean, they fucking canceled me. Like, come on, dude. It's such bullshit. Wait, why isn't Alex Jones a journalist? Motherfucker, Alex Jones is not a journalist because he himself admits he's not a fucking journalist. I'm not a journalist either, by the way. If people say Hasan is a journalist, I say, no, I'm not a journalist. I'm a commentator. Alex Jones is an entertainer. He's a conspiracy theorist and an entertainer. And his legal defense in a court of law is literally that. When there was a custody hearing taking place, his legal defense for the psychotic things that he said, in order to render them, bullshit, they had to run with the defense that it is just entertainment and he doesn't believe anything he's saying. He is literally legally a snake oil salesman. Same with Tucker Carlson. So these guys, when push comes to shove, know exactly what they are doing. Okay? And they are not journalists. So for weirdos to fucking turn around and be like, no, they're actually real journalists, is so stupid. Like, why are you simping for Alex Jones and arguing for a position that he himself does not believe in? Kind of weird, dude. Kind of weird to be a fucking stan like that.
How about the White House YouTube channel? They eliminated all of Trump's videos. All of them.
Do you not see the difference, though? Because Sean King says abolish the police. And, say Alex Jones, for example, says Jewish people own most of the property in America. And if you want to deal with property owners, deal primarily with Jewish people in 2015. So obviously there's a stark difference in rhetoric and consequence even. You call the virus Kung Flu, and then a rise in violence against Asian Americans.
But who called it Kung Flu?
President Trump.
Did he say it directly, though?
Yes.
Very directly.
He tweeted it, yeah.
He tweeted
So
it?
And he said it.
There are reasons for the differences in consequences, but I think if we understand that it's happening widespread, because I've seen people on the left say kill cops, permanently banned, permanently done.
Right.
So I think we have to take a step back, remove ourselves from the box that we're in, and kind of, okay, is it happening over here too?
There's ideas that exist on and offline that are abominable, that I disavow unequivocally, but that I subscribed to when I was younger. When I was younger, didn't understand what I was necessarily looking at, didn't have enough worldview or perspective to know that these were not good ideas. But because that they were censored by the forums that I was espousing them in, I never had the opportunity to have them challenged. I would never have the opportunity to have a conversation about why these were bad ideas.
Someone should be like, so what do you mean? I just explain. Elaborate. Why don't you describe to us some of these ideas? I want to know. I want to know what he's talking about. This motherfucker is just straight up a poll user, okay? Oh, 100%. He was a groiper. He's a groiper who's been reformed and still probably holds on to a lot of the groiper takes, but yeah, 100%. Oh, I was in a forum and I had some really crazy ideas.
There was no purveyance of the ideological free market, and that's really the only way for these ideas to go away. Take, for example, white supremacy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, it's just only debates. That's the only way to do it, guys. No, straight up. Yeah, that's how the Nazis were defeated, and that's how this will always take place in the ideological free market. It's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid. How are you, if you are better, right? If you are better now, if you have learned your lesson and you have moved on from being a probably Nazi on the internet, then why are you still vilifying the liberals not being there to debate you and not the fucking dudes who radicalized you into believing things that you no longer supposedly believe? Either you still believe those things, but maybe a lighter version of it, and you're just, throwing out this argument just to own the libs a little bit harder, or you're a little delusional here.
People who have those beliefs don't go away when you ban them from platforms. Those beliefs don't go away when you tell them to shut up. Those beliefs don't go away when...
It's literally not true. That's not true. If deplatforming wasn't effective, if it wasn't effective to a certain degree, then motherfuckers wouldn't be this bent over it, okay? it 100% is effective in the cases of like Alex Jones or in the cases of like Milo Yiannopoulos and people like that. It is. It totally knocks them out. No one cares. No one talks about them anymore. It's a very effective strategy. It literally worked for Donald Trump of all fucking people, okay? So no, deplatforming does work. Now, there is a truth to what he's saying, and that is that those ideas don't really go away. Well, I mean, he does have a point. The problems don't go away. The radicalization or those who want to radicalize others don't technically go away. You're just limiting their avenues of being able to do that. I also am a believer that you can have a debate with people like fucking Nazis and shit like that. You just have to be very capable of knowing where they're, knowing what their talking points are and how to defeat them effectively and dismantle those ridiculous points of view. But lastly, aside from like neutering the avenues that they have, or at least limiting them, right? Limiting the avenues they have to effectively propagandize their position, there is still the underlying material conditions that create an environment that is rich for, ripe for radicalization. Okay? And if you don't address that, if you don't address those problems, you're not going to actually solve the issue.
When you punch them in the face, or when you revoke their rally permits.
But when do we draw the line? Because if somebody, let's use Kung Flu, for example, what I said earlier. Let's say it's Alex Jones that says, oh, this is a Chinese virus. They brought it here. And then we see a rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans. When do we draw the line? Because he would still have the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should deprive the people who are actually committing these crimes of the agency in committing them.
Right.
Like they are doing that, and they frankly would be doing that
I just don't get it. Like, what? So you just were a bad person and a Nazi back in the day on your own? Like, full agency? Is that what you're saying? Like, you were not radicalized by someone? Like, I want someone to ask him, like, so how did you become that person then? Were you just a gigantic piece of shit and a Nazi? Like, you were born as a Nazi? Is that what happened?
But because that they were censored by the forums that I was espousing them in, I never were bad ideas. There was no purveyance of the ideological free market, and that's really, the beliefs don't go away when you ban them from platforms. Those beliefs don't go away when you tell them to shut up. Those beliefs don't go away when you punch them in the face, or when you revoke their rally permits.
But when do we draw the line? Because
I love that, because this is literally a 2014 talking point, 2016 talking point. Like, what? Are you still making a fucking argument about Charlottesville right now? Like, is this the only motherfucker in 2021 who is like willing to make a pro Charlottesville argument? Like, what the fuck?
If somebody, let's use Kung Flu, for example, what I said earlier. Let's say it's Alex Jones that says, oh, this is a Chinese virus. They brought it here. And then we see a rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans. When do we draw the line? Because he would still have the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should deprive the people who are actually committing these crimes of the agency in committing them.
Right.
Like they are doing that, and they frankly would be doing that regardless of whether or not there was somebody who was using.
This is such a fucking idiotic argument. Again, it's like the agency of committing crimes. Like, what the fuck is this argument, dude? This is so stupid.
Inflammatory rhetoric online. That's exactly my point when I say these ideas don't go.
I mean, just own them by talking about ISIS, dude. Do you think ISIS should keep up propaganda videos on the internet? Say it with your chest right now. You love ISIS. Explain to us how much you fucking love ISIS and why you think ISIS should keep throwing up propaganda videos.
Away. And then you feed those ideas, you build the anger.
So for example, if you ban a white supremacist or a huge white supremacist group from Twitter, there's still probably going to be white supremacists chilling and hanging out outside of Twitter.
Right.
But it would be harder for that white supremacist group on that platform to inflict harm towards black folks, right? Because then I do feel safer. So if I'm being harassed by a white supremacist group or someone who's saying that black people don't deserve to live, I do feel safer as the user. Are they going to stop being a white supremacist? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's their free speech. However, it does make me feel a lot safer.
I just think the left is now catching more up to us and realizing that the censorship is happening, and then now it's kind of touching their side too more. And maybe with Sean King, you see it. I've definitely seen it pick up more in the past few months on both sides.
With the left, the example I gave was from 2014.
I know.
That's been around for a while, even when you're looking at the civil rights movement and you're looking at the literal burning down of civil rights headquarters and things like
McCarthyism.
that. My parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents in the civil rights movement were continuously policed and harassed for their beliefs, violently so, jailed for their beliefs. So I find it's hard for me to compare when civil rights folks are being imprisoned and killed for their beliefs. However, because a conservative can't use Twitter, I'm supposed to feel bad.
Well, I don't think there's a comparison. What I wonder is whether or not there is a leftist ideologue, someone who is similar to Alex Jones or someone like that was blackballed from 6 social media platforms over the course of 12 hours.
Who?
On the left, it doesn't really happen at all. Look at what they admonish, like abolish police, give everybody health care. What in that world, what in that realm?
I'm not a left-wing Alex Jones motherfucker. That would imply that I'm like a believer, or at least a staunch advocate for conspiracy theories that are delusional and psychopathic.
Would be like, you're done. You don't need to, you're talking about killing people.
We're saying burn it all down this summer during the riots.
Buildings, but that's not.
But that's still people's property. They saved their whole
violence.
savings. 2 billion damages as a country. We need to say that violence is bad. Burning people's stuff is bad.
And killing.
I think we need to give perspective to
unarmed
it.
people
Yeah, it has to be context. Yeah, because we can't say burning buildings is bad and then not understand the reason as to why they're burning. I don't agree with burning them, but we kind of got to give context to both. We can't just say this is all terrible.
I don't want to be anecdotal about this, but at the same, my parents are immigrants. They work for everything that they have. My mom, she came from a family of 6, and they didn't have a lot when they came to this country. And each of their siblings, including my mom, they had to work for everything that they have, and they made something of themselves. So and then we also have rental properties. So if one of them.
Do I have to rewind it? I need to see this, right?
And then we also have rental properties. So if one of them burned down because of a riot, that's our life savings right there. We put a lot of money into that.
So I guess let's take it back to the civil rights movement, because usually I think the future sometimes is a better indicator of what's morally right and wrong. I lived about 10 minutes from Ferguson and was there when those buildings were burning down, and it was incredibly terrifying. But I also remember the business owners who said, I can replace my windows. What I can't replace is a lost child. So hearing those business owners, hearing them, I can talk about them hypothetically and how I hypothetically think they might feel, but I also can talk about people who had their own buildings burned down.
Of course, and people who do say that they're on the Black Lives Matter side, of course.
Not necessarily, a lot of them are white.
But at the same time, I go back to business because, I'm an accountant, I care about the numbers and all that stuff. And
I care about Black lives.
I care about lives. We all care about Black lives, but also too, a lot of misinformation.
Do you? So why is every conversation that you guys are supposedly having about Black lives revolving around the aftermath of a Black life being taken, where you are spending more time on fucking property damage rather than the actual fucking state monopolizing violence and using it upon innocent Black people? Kind of weird. I don't really understand it. Also, if you're an accountant, I'm sure you have heard of a really unique concept. I don't know if you boys are aware of this. Some of you might not have heard of it. It's called insurance. Well, I know the accountant knows insurance because he actually gave that $2 billion figure, which actually came from insurance claims. So I know that this motherfucker is aware that insurance exists. You know what I mean? I know that he knows. Because, he mentioned it. So
Information was spread about those riots too, with the hands up, don't shoot. They said that he was facing backwards, and they found out that he wasn't, and he didn't have his hands up.
You're talking about last year, or
no?
Talking about Michael Brown. That's what started it.
Yeah.
Let's just not.
And then they're spreading the misinformation, and then it also.
And also, if you'd like to have the perspective, so I would.
Life insurance exists too. Just use it to get a new life, idiots. Yeah, exactly. True. Fucking owned.
There that day,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and we can talk about censorship. So after he was killed, he was on the ground for 4 hours. Our radio stations were turned off and our news stations were turned off. So we didn't have information as to what was going on, which I
So you
agree
don't like the
allowed
censorship.
misinformation to spread.
Exactly.
However, to say that, so no, I'm not agreeing with you, but I'm saying maybe like know what the people in that community were faced with before
Yeah.
speaking on something that you don't
No,
know.
it's terrible. That's terrible. The censorship of those radio stations is awful, and I
Not siding with the conservatives, but I've heard stories of shop owners who do not have insurance who had their shops destroyed. What about those shop owners? Brother, I don't think you understand. Okay? People aren't saying it's good that those shops got fucking destroyed. I'm not saying that. Okay? It's bad. But if the entire argument revolves around, once again, your shop being fucking destroyed in a conversation that originally started because a person's life was taken, then you're basically saying, well, this guy's fucking shop got destroyed. That's actually worse. How do you not get that? Oh, sick, dude. I'm glad that people's shops got burned. Yeah, I'm a leftist. Okay, is that what you expect me to say? Is that what it is? Ultimately, human lives are more important than property. Okay? So what you have to remember is, why do you care about the property being destroyed? Well, you care about the property being destroyed because that ultimately is going to hurt a human being. You don't care about the property being destroyed for some completely separate reason because you care about property in and of itself. The intrinsic value that you have with the property being destroyed is how it pertains to the life and livelihood of another human being. Okay?
I think it contributed to a lot of
Misinformation.
not
That's
just
why
not
people
just
flocked
misinformation,
and
but
went downtown.
pain and destruction.
And by the way, I said this exact same thing about the fucking Capitol building too. Just remember, I was like, I don't give a fuck about the symbolic representation of the property itself. These hallowed halls where, you know, legislation gets deliberated on. Blah blah blah. I don't go fuck your halls. Okay, I don't care about that. I care about the message that it's trying to send. I care about the reason why people take violent actions. Okay? Are they justifiable or not? I care about the trauma that was that members of Congress were subjected to, for sure, and staffers and so many people who legitimately thought that they were going to get fucking killed.
that happened within those communities because people weren't being given the information they were entitled to.
Yeah.
You know, I think that in itself is an argument against censorship for sure.
Great argument. How come the property damage crowd doesn't mention the Nashville bombing? Yeah, if you fucking were like horny for property damage, then you would literally routinely talk about the Nashville bombing, which caused a fuckload of property damage. But you don't. You want to know why? Because the motherfucker who blew himself up only murdered himself and no one else. And that's precisely why you don't talk about it, because there is no like discernible political thing that you can associate it with as well.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want.
Oh.
It's a hard one, honestly, because it...
Wait, what?
Is it whoever, just based on what they deem is wrong? Like, I don't know.
Wait, what?
I worked in a...
So there is no censorship problem then. Okay. GG's, never mind. End the video. So you're... If you stand up and say tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want, and you say yes to that, then you've eliminated your position in its entirety.
Country club once, and they had the strict dress code for employees and even for members. I mean, you can, as long as it's legal.
Right, that's the one caveat. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say no Jews, no, no whatever. Or,
I mean, as long as they have a set terms and conditions, then yeah, they can ban whoever they want. They shouldn't just ban whoever, you know.
Well, I think they should be able to say, okay, you're you're done. Even it doesn't necessarily impede on the terms and conditions.
Basically, I think what we're having is a free market response, saying they let them do what they want and let consumers go where they are, but you have to have a functioning free market where people can go somewhere else.
But they can't right now, though. That's the problem.
Who wouldn't be able to go to
Parler being removed from the App
It's
Store.
on web services and
But-
App Store, and basically it's an antitrust law kind of thing, because basically they're trying to create a monopoly between all the social media like Twitter and Facebook. And
Yeah.
I mean, dude, conservatives are so delusional with the way that they talk about antitrust. Bro, you can't love Ronald Reagan. You can't love Ronald Reagan while simultaneously acting like you give a fuck about antitrust, okay? You can't do those two things. Okay? You can't say you're a conservative and then say you also want antitrust laws. That's the government infringing upon free market competition, okay? That is what free market enterprise and free market competition is. Deregulation causes monopolization. Antitrust laws are government regulation. It's not free. It's not a free market.
Than some of the larger entities, but they still can't get picked up on Apple and the Google
Right.
Play.
That's my problem.
The market isn't functioning properly then.
Like, okay, should Twitter have the leader of Hezbollah be on Twitter? They're listed as a terror group by the EU and the US.
Well, they've been
he's still on Twitter.
they've been sued over that.
I mean, have they? Yeah, I was gonna say, have
And
they?
they've been sued over that, but as long as the tweets aren't promoting terror or violating
It's
the
also a
terms,
political
that's
party.
That's
the
They
thing.
are-
It's
yeah, they're part
Hezbollah
of
is a
their-
political party
they're
in
part of their
Lebanon.
parliament.
I know Bin Laden's dead, but if he were alive and he made a Twitter and he didn't tweet anything that violated the terms and conditions, to his point, wouldn't they be able to still stay on the platform?
And I think that
Yeah, I mean,
I think that should be fair, because
I
you
don't
need.
think-
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I want Osama bin Laden.
I agree. They should just ban.
Okay, why? Why? Work through it. Why do you not want bin Laden to tweet? Why do you not want ISIS to tweet? This is what you have to take conservatives and have them walk through the steps so that they comprehend it. Use their racism against them in certain instances, right? Like, I mean, it's not racist that you're fucking anti-ISIS, by the way. That's not what I'm suggesting. But the racism is the double standard of not seeing like white supremacist terror as an equal to or way more significant of a threat to the United States in regards to domestic terrorism when compared to ISIS. Okay, so that's where the racism comes in. So turn around and ask them, like, why do you think ISIS should not be able to propagandize? Because they will tell you, well, they're going to use that propaganda to, create more ISIS terrorists and inevitably create more lone wolf attackers and engage in more random acts of terrorism on U.S. soil. All right, great. So you want to limit that. Why do you want to limit that? You want to limit the radicalization. So why aren't you making the same exact arguments that you do for Nazis on, 4chan or Twitter or whatever, that you would make for ISIS? You have to recognize it. Like, what is this? What is this double standard? Like, oh, you're at which point you just have to admit that it's okay when white people do it. Like, you literally just believe that it is okay when white people do it. That's what you are saying. I'm sorry. That's what you're saying. If you don't think ISIS, if you think ISIS should not have a Twitter account, but, white supremacists can and should, then you're a fucking hypocrite who thinks that white supremacists are good for doing what they're doing.
Ban them.
Maybe match.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, like, if they have a set guidelines and set rules, they shouldn't, and they follow them, then why would you kick them off in the first place?
I mean, if it violates their terms and conditions.
Kyle Kalinske says that they start banning leftists too. What do you say to that? I say that they have always banned leftists and they will continue to ban leftists, and that we understand contextually that some of this is appropriate. Okay? It's about the context. of who's being banned and for what. I've said this time and time again. I've had this conversation with Kyle specifically. Okay? Free speech absolutism isn't real. It's not a real position. No one is a free speech absolutist. There are obvious infractions and obvious limitations to free speech. The argument that we always have revolves around what your personal limitations are for free speech, rather than whether you believe in free speech absolutism or not. Because if you truly believed in free speech absolutism, like very few people do, I guess Noam Chomsky could be one, maybe Glenn Greenwald to a certain degree. But even then they have fucking free speech. Even then they have boundaries to their free speech. The American Constitution is not free speech absolutist. It is the most expanded upon. It is the most free of speech, especially in comparison to comparable OECD nations. But it's still not fully free. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's a limitation on free speech. So the Constitution, or at least the American judicial process, has figured out what is a reasonable limitation on free speech. That exists already. Noam Chomsky just thinks that people shouldn't be locked up for speech. People act like he thinks all speech is great. Oh, yeah. And Noam Chomsky and I are in agreement on that. I don't think people should be locked up for speech. Don't.
I think they can ban whoever they want, but I guess just a hypothetical, if all of a sudden they were like, we don't want to see breastfeeding, so we're going to ban everyone just because we want to. Technically they can because they're a private, business entity, but I guess morally it kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I want to agree, but I feel like if I do agree, then I feel like I would be giving social media and tech companies far too much importance. Right. People exist with
hate speech is worse than other crimes you can get jailed for. I mean, I guess that's true. I can hate speech can be worse than I don't know, getting fucking jailed for being in possession of marijuana. That's true. It's literally true. Like you're especially in regards to what kind of hate speech we are talking about. But even then, I don't think you should jail people for marijuana, and you shouldn't jail people for hate speech. Sorry, that's my fucking take. Saying that that's not an argument. Saying that there are fucking crimes, lesser crimes than hate speech in your mind, or less impactful crimes than hate speech in your mind, that people get jailed for, does not mean that we should lower the barrier for jailing people. It means we should make it so that it is more difficult to jail people.
Without social media, I don't think if you ban somebody that's like a morally egregious act.
I think you'd be shocked the number of people, especially my age and younger, who get their news exclusively from social media. My worry about it is that the algorithms of these companies do not incentivize nuance.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you see, what trends is what is getting clicks, and a lot of the time that's controversy.
But sometimes too, though, they artificially put things that are trending up there that really aren't.
Well, the problem is it's the Wizard of Oz.
Reddit did that, and Twitter does that too.
We don't know what those algorithms are, but there are suspicions that they are trying to fuel conflict.
Right.
And conflict creates clicks, which creates comments, which creates engagement. And so in some ways, social media is dividing us as much as it is bringing people together in this big platform.
Oh, they definitely profit off of the division too.
When we talk about the terms and agreements, it's interesting because there's nothing that says incitement of violence. But if we do put incitement of violence, then Trump didn't really incite, I believe he didn't incite them, because he didn't say, oh, go to the Capitol and, you know, beat them up.
Yes, he did, dude. What the fuck? He's not wrong, though. Get the fuck out of here. What else does he have to say, dude? He said, go down, march down, knock down the doors, like knock on the doors and show them what we are made of. Like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but like, what the fuck? This pause is pretty good. Yeah, it's like, dude's face is like, really?
Yeah, but you have people on, you know, during the Black Lives Matter movement saying, be restless, oh, you know, break down stuff, you know, punch a Nazi in the face.
Maybe if you communicated with those people, you would know that a lot of people were banned. There were mass bannings of Black Lives Matter supporters since Antifa. 2014. I personally don't know anyone who identifies as Antifa. That's usually something that I hear as like a talking point on the right. But personally, I know they exist, but I don't know much about them, so would love for you to explain. So, I mean, they are getting banned, right?
I personally don't think so, because like, I think like maybe small people, like, because I focus on the big
social justice account showing.
I feel like there are people who actually sit in violence, like Maxine Waters, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon. Like
Chris Cuomo's inciting violence?
He said like, who said protests have to be peaceful?
Yeah. I think a good basis point to like look at that from is whether or not someone who goes on and incites violence, who is a politician, is being treated differently than like someone who goes on and incites violence and is a protest organizer. I think as a concern, yes, the inequitable enforcement of terms and conditions is a concern to me on whatever side it's on. And I think back to their various examples. I mean, I think one good one is the Covington kids. Are you guys familiar with this?
Of course, yeah.
Where a lot of people were putting things like, oh, kids, we're gonna feed these kids into the wood chipper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they weren't really getting banned from it.
Yeah.
And there was postulation in right-leaning circles that it was because those kids were wearing MAGA hats.
Cancel culture is a conversation that has been happening in liberal spaces as well. Maybe we don't have like Fox. I don't know. We have these other stations, but maybe it's just not reported on a lot. However,
like, that's dumb as fuck. Anyone who says like those kids should be fed to the wood chipper is a fucking freak, okay? And there are freak ass liberals out there who like to get their freak on and say freak ass shit. All right? Straight up. But again, if you are spending this amount of time talking about this sort of shit, then you know, you don't have a lot of worries, it feels like.
However, I do...
The guy who said that got banned immediately? Yeah.
Hear so many conversations about cancel culture, forgiveness, and accountability happening in liberal circles as well.
Spreading lies should be protected as free speech.
Dude, come on, dude. That's perfect. Oh God, that's perfect. Oh no, that's it. There you go. There you go. Like, willingly spreading misinformation should be protected as free speech is basically arriving at the jugular of the conservative free speech agenda. It's so good. It's just, oh, it's great. Oh, fuck. It's literally a self-report. Okay.
My thing here is that I think we have to be very attentive to who...
Because he's going to say, they're all going to say, what's to say, what are lies? Like, what's verifiable information? And then they're going to bring up like 3 PolitiFact videos or articles, which, by the way, PolitiFact is garbage in a lot of circumstances. It's basically fucking, you know, it's DNC PolitiFact. But again, like, this notion that you're going to involve yourself in this postmodernist, like, what is the truth really actually kind of fucking argument is so stupid, okay? If you are willingly spreading lies and propaganda to deliberately misinform people, then no, these platforms should not offer you a fucking platform.
We
Are you
make
doing that?
the arbiter of the truth.
When I think about lies and like people's lies, you know, I think about people's truths, you know, people's perspective, people's opinions, and you know, that should be protected in that sense, because if you feel something and you believe in something or you have an opinion on something, that is your truth. That is, well, maybe to some people it's a lie, maybe to most of the people it's a lie, but that's your truth and you have the right to say your truth, right? When Donald Trump started this campaign of, you know,
I hate this. This is literally just like, bro, this is straight up, I say this all the time. Conservatives are such fucking snowflakes, dude. I'm sorry. Like, they literally operate on this notion that, like, just because I'm a unique little American baby, that means it's true to me. And because it's true to me, it should be true to other people as well. I should be able to just try to convince other people of my lies, okay? No, motherfucker, your opinion is garbage, okay? Sorry. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
Election was rigged. He actually does believe that. That is his truth. It seemed like a lie to a lot of people on the left, and probably some people on the right. But he has the right to say that. You know, there's nothing in the Constitution. There's no law saying.
Well, the question that begs is who says whether it's a lie?
Yeah.
Who decides it's a lie?
Yeah, who's the arbiter, like you said?
If we allow lies to be spread as part of like a free speech, then we have what we have now currently is, I think 500,000 people now died of coronavirus. And a lot of them died on account of just lies. You know,
I know conservatives better than they know themselves, dude.
If you wear a mask, you know, you can't breathe in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to social distance. This is a liberal hoax. So if we protect lies in the realm of free speech, they have real life, real time consequences.
You know, we protect people from certain things that are dangerous. And if I said, take this placebo, don't, because it'll cure cancer, and people did that and died, that would be dangerous.
Theoretically, you would be liable, correct?
I would be liable
If you
too,
use your
yes.
credentials to say, drink this and it will cure your cancer, and
Right.
someone did that, you would be liable.
But would CBS give me airtime for a commercial for that? No.
We complain as conservatives that there's not enough fact checkers that are.
Yo, that's infringing on your free speech, brother. Come on, say it. Say it, motherfucker. Turn around and be like, well, no, CBS should give you a platform. Come on. The irony here is that his hypothetical is literally something that happened. And that's the sad part of this, is that his hypothetical is pretty goddamn close to the truth of what happened with Donald Trump and hydroxychloroquine. Like, that was literally what happened. So, I mean, people don't even want to remember. People just like retcon shit out of their brains. Right? They just try to fucking retcon shit immediately and forget that, like, what was that witch doctor lady? The Holy Ghost send the power lady who was like put up there by Charlie Kirk and a bunch of other like psychotic right-wingers. Dr. Stella Emanuel. Yeah, Dr. Demon Seaman. Straight up was advocating for it, and Donald Trump was defending her on mainstream media.
On the right, there's Snopes, there's Fact Check, they're on the left, but there needs to be someone to take to.
Snopes is on the left.
Oh yeah.
Snopes is not on the left. It's liberal as fuck, okay? It is liberal as fuck. I'm sorry. They shit on Bernie Sanders and stuff too. It's so dumb. But here's the reality. A lot of fact checkers, or people that present themselves as fact checkers, first of all, they're of course not ever going to be unbiased, but they end up siding with liberal shit by virtue of how much fucking Republicans lie. Okay? Liberals lie all the goddamn time too. I call them out pretty fucking regularly. But oh my God, dude, Republicans just, there's a reason why the 3 Republicans got up and rushed to the fucking table when they were like, spreading lies should be protected free speech. Motherfucker, the reason why you got up and ran there is because you know you lie. You know your side lies all the time. You would have stayed the fuck back and then argued that we need to do something about fact checkers, though, because like who's actually who's actually fucking looking at what is a lie. If you truly held a position that you do not want people to actually spread lies, then you would have held back. You wouldn't have rushed there in unison to say spreading lies should be protected as free speech. You would have stayed back, and then you would have got up there and been like, well, here are some of my concerns.
The fact check becomes
The owner donates.
Last I checked, facts.
Yeah.
Well, if they're actually.
And here's the other part of it. Fuck, I'm just going to continue with this again. Like, this is something that normal conservatives do regularly as well. It's not just fucking Trump or abnormal conservatives or Nazis that are anti-vaxxers. Normal conservatives also fucking lie routinely. Like, Democrats will recognize the truth and how cruel the world might be and then refuse to do anything about it. Their lie is like the actions that they're supposedly going to take down the line. You know, they are honest about the actual problems. They just lie about what kind of solutions they're going to implement. Republicans just lie about the problems and are honest about solutions that they are going to implement, because they do follow through on those solutions to non-existent fucking problems, like voter fraud. Voter fraud is not a real thing. Okay? Voter fraud is not a real thing. It is a statistically, it is negligible. It is statistically unimportant. And yet, it is a foundational plank since the fucking 90s or 80s, even earlier than that, actually. Or even 60s as well, actually. Black people voting, voter fraud, if you want to think about it that way. It has been a fundamental plank of the Republican Party's messaging agenda for a very long time. Conservatives have always lied to justify voter suppression or implementing some form of method to ensure election fraud happens, which is not a lie. Election fraud is real.
Actually a fact check.
Well, are there any that you all support that we could like look into, or do you think that's something that like Republicans could try to
That's
make
what
more
I mean.
like
There needs to be.
I personally think that Snopes and Politico are by and large very accurate.
Yeah.
I think that, I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you continue, please.
No, I think that they're by and large very accurate, but I think as with literally any media source, I mean, you can't look at, there's nothing that will be the unequivocal truth.
Right.
There's nothing, you know, so you need to like look at,
things
I mean, well, you need to look at it and know that
scientific
it's being written from a
method.
place of bias. Oh, I mean, sure, like hydroxychloroquine is not gonna like cure you of COVID.
Right,
You know,
but that's not liberal or conservative, that's just true.
That's stupid or
I guess
not stupid.
It depends. It depends. It depends if it's like an opinion, and then it also depends if people, like politicians, love throwing out.
So how do you deal with it then? I mean, how do you deal with it? You just like wish it away?
Statistics and studies and things like that, and as like a little sciencey person, I do believe in the scientific method for the most part, and I think that things should be tested over and over and over again. And I think providing those, like if a politician is saying a statistic, I think there should be some sort of fact-checking body. However, I am totally on board with there being a fact-checking body that is, say, 50% Republican, 50% Democrat. I think that's, that's totally fine.
There is political bias, I'm sure, in the Snopes realm. Somebody on the corporate board is liberal. You said the CEO, fine. But there is true and untrue. And if we begin to link those two with like political affiliations, then it's dangerous because we have no realm of truth.
There are lies that are harmful, Lawrence, like you were describing. You know, there are a lot of lies that are harmful and have caused a lot of harm, but giving the government the power to arbitrate what is and isn't true,
That's a different
I think can
story,
also cause a lot of harm as well.
We're far more...
Like what? Like you are using, again, a hypothetical in the future that you can deal with in a separate way to deflect away from the conversation that people are having about what is going on currently. And I find that so weird. Like, people always do this. They always do this. Like, all right, we have a problem right now. Okay, well, we can't deal with that problem because what if there is a completely different and non-existent problem that might happen in the future that is actually kind of fucking silly, and you could deal with it in a separate way.
We should worry far more about the social sphere than the governmental sphere because we have the First Amendment.
That's First Amendment should trump all. That's at least where I stand.
Yeah, for the government.
Right. I think.
I got banned on Twitter and my First Amendment rights were violated. No, that's a private
Yeah, it's a
entity,
private company. I get it.
Some people should not have a platform.
No, this kind of goes against my freedom of speech outlook, but like we were saying before, like I don't want to see Hezbollah having, a Twitter feed, or I don't want to see, ISIS having a Twitter feed. There's definitely a fine line. I can't say everyone deserves a platform.
There's this thing called the paradox of tolerance.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's essentially saying that if we're tolerant of everybody, if we give everybody a voice, and we're like, all right, everything everybody says is okay as long as you feel that way. If we're tolerant of everything, then eventually our tolerance will be snuffed out by people that are intolerant.
I think if they're causing harm, so like you
That's
all were all saying,
exactly.
that's when, and like serious harm, I don't think that we should encourage that. So whether that's like the illegal trade,
The kill cops
of
line
an
is a
endangered
Papela D community
species,
line?
or
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a terrorist organization, I think as a society we should kind of.
The reason why I didn't come forward is because, I think it goes back to cancel culture in the sense, like people who have been espoused from society because they did something so wrong is that
cancel culture.
Yeah, and people do bad things, and people have committed like terrible things to people or someone or group of people. But I think forgiveness should be an element, and people should have their chance to get back on their platforms by, I don't know, doing something. I personally don't know what the social
A
media.
conservative who believes in like restorative, rehabilitative justice. It's shocking. I assume it's just for Nazis. I fucking doubt that it's going to be for like, people who have been regarded as criminals by the state.
Companies would do, but
I do agree, though. I do believe in reform. I do.
Also, like, I guess deplatforming versus banning versus just people not really wanting to mess.
Stop assuming? Why would I stop assuming? This is like what I'm doing. It's a fucking shitty Jubilee video that I'm having fun with while also making points about how fucking stupid some people's like free speech absolute positions are. Like, what do you want? Just go watch the video on your own then. Stop assuming, idiot.
With them anymore, and usually the people who are really vocal about cancel culture sometimes are people who they still have their platform.
Yeah, I got to do another ad break here. It's 4 hours.
Still have their Twitter, they still have their Instagram. They're just mad that society has been like, R. Kelly, we don't like you, or like, you know what, we don't like that you caused a bunch of harm to people.
Right. The other thing I think about with deplatforming is that you rob somebody of their opportunity for absolution. So if Alex Jones were to decide, and for somebody whose platform is their livelihood, not whose platform or who has a livelihood outside of their platform, like J.K. Rowling, when you take that away from them, if he were to suddenly turn around and he were to
Wait, what did he jump from Alex Jones to J.K. Rowling? What the fuck?
say, okay, the frogs aren't gay, and like
he was right about the frogs,
these
though,
people
which
aren't
is weird.
controlling the weather, he would have no platform to come and say that, which I consider to.
What do you mean, dude? Like, some sort of deterrence measure should be implemented, right? And I think deplatforming is an acceptable one. But what has Alex Jones done in the time that he has been deplatformed? He's just gotten fucking worse. Like, it's not like he's trying to make amends and get better. I mean, motherfucker, here's a great example. XQC, okay? He was being a fucking shitlord on NoPixel, okay? He was being a shitlord on NoPixel. He was being a menace and sometimes fucking up other people's experiences, right? Now look at him. He went to the fucking Bahamas for a week. Sorry for the GTRP analogy here, but look at how he's doing now. Like, he has legitimately improved what he's doing. He's gotten a lot better. He is facilitating roleplay for smaller streamers. He's like helping their fucking communities grow. He is making the most of his time on the platform now. When people say like, lol, new leaf, like, he's still going to be a toxic shitter from time to time. And he's still going to fuck up from time to time. But it is nowhere near as bad as he originally was. Nowhere near as bad. Okay? So would that have happened if there was no fucking no deterrence whatsoever? Probably not. Like, probably not. He's in jail right now. Okay, well, you know, that's different. Like, that's a mechanic of the game. That's normal. Nah, he still be toxic as fuck. Yeah, he's still toxic as fuck, but he's not literally routinely rule breaking, power gaming, not valuing life. He is abiding by the rules of the server so that he can, you know, facilitate other people's role play. And he's gotten a lot better at taking L's as well. So there's also an appeals process and warnings on like all those platforms. Can you watch the Unicorn Riot video? No. So I do believe that just curious, did he ever apologize to you? I mean, he gave like a half-hearted apology on his stream, but it's fine. Look, what I'm trying to say here is that people that demonstrate that they are trying to get better is something that I always advocate for. Like, I am a believer in rehabilitation. If I did not believe in rehabilitation, I wouldn't do what I do. Okay, he did kiss you. No, he did. This is true. He did kiss me in the game. Like, as far as the out of game stuff, I'm saying he gave an apology. It's fine. It's whatever. I accepted it. What I'm trying to say is he's a person who demonstrated that he is getting better. He understands and is making amends for the actions that he had taken. And that's a great example. I mean, he might fuck up still, okay? But in regards to defending big streamers again. Jesus Christ, dude.
Am I the only one that's not in favor of this whole like forgiveness, you can come back thing?
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, because I feel like it depends on the degree. Yeah, because I feel like I hate cancel culture. I hate the notion that we can essentially exile somebody for what they did. But on the same hand, I still believe that consequences are real. And if you do something that causes lasting damage, then you need lasting consequences. You know, if somebody is a manslaughter, we put them in jail for life. If somebody, you know, does something to harm somebody for over a long period of time, you should not be able to redeem yourself and come back to the same place that you were when you caused that harm.
Or you can have a niche audience like Alex Jones. I'm sure he still has dedicated followers. But to say that everybody needs to forgive you, oh no. Because I might have. It depends on your religion. It depends on so many different things. But yeah, but I think people are able to come back to some extent, but they're hating on the fact that they're not able to make as much money.
I can think of personal instances where I had opinions that were heard out of context, that were rather moderate or something like that, where people had very visceral reactions and immediately things started to come apart.
How dare you.
And I wished for more of a chance to be heard. And like, I'm not gonna state these things, but they were not anywhere near the vein of what I was talking about earlier. These were things that were just kind of unpopular and easy to take out of context. And I wished that I had more of a chance for people to hear me out, as opposed to kind of react viscerally from the start.
And I think there's also personal accountability. So for example, if I say something online and a bunch of people, whether they're my followers, especially if they're people who I know and trust and they have a really visceral reaction
I just want to know.
it, sometimes I think
I just want to know what he means. Like, I want freedom of speech. I like freedom of speech. I just want to know what, you know, what these ideas were. I just want to be showered in the marketplace of ideas with these. Stop censoring yourself, sir. You claim to hate censorship, and yet here you are censoring yourself. Get owned. I wonder what it was. Just curious. I just want to know.
What's the person being hurt, but can I at least empathize with it? Or do I want to get back on social media and say everyone is silencing me so then I can have a more niche audience of people who only agree with me? Because at this point, I think that most people just want to feel seen, heard, and validated on the left and on the right. And I think there are a lot of people on the right that do not feel seen, heard, and validated. I'm not going to say that what you all are feeling is a figment of your imagination. I think it's coming from somewhere and needs to be attended to.
You know, you see all these bad things about happening to, you know, Trump supporters, and like they're getting their car keyed or stuff like that. And then my parents are always like, you know, maybe you should just keep it to yourself. And that's a shame, because I thought we lived in a society where we could talk about, you know, differing ideas, and we had that platform to have that free speech and, you know, to have a healthy debate. And so it's kind of, I feel, especially my family and on social media, is that they want to put me into submission to suppress my voice and my conservative opinions.
I can kind of...
A moment for self-reflection of like, did I say something that may have hurt other people? Can I get curious about?
Anyway, let's just fucking finish this video. Holy shit.
My conservative. They want to put me into submission to suppress my voice and my conservative opinions.
I can kind of resonate with what you said, not necessarily from a family standpoint, but, you know, from a like large scale, generally speaking, when somebody sees like somebody like me, just a black man, you know, like prominent in their beliefs about like, you know, the greatness of, you know, pre-colonial Africa, or, you know, just loving kente cloth and stuff like that. There are presumptions made, and it obviously doesn't make people like me feel seen or heard or understood, because you just seen me and made a bunch of assumptions, you know, assumed a bunch of things. Like, I think we kind of have that problem, not only with social media, but just in general. You know, there's biases. It's tough. You know, it's tough to have any different opinion or any different voice.
All right, you bump it, whatever you want.